Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, reminding you keep up with Tarpley.net. New media appearances this week, Alex Jones Show, Press TV, I think this past week, and some others. You can find it all there, plus new translations, the Russian version, the Czech version, Polish version of the Pakistan-China article from some weeks back. Now up. Those are still coming in. Keep up with those if those are your preferred languages for reading. Now, China said to the United States, if you attack Pakistan, we're going to consider that an attack on China. And we have to think about the array of possibilities of retaliation that China has. One, of course, is, put the squeeze on the Taiwan Straits or encourage North Korea to do things, backed up by these intercontinental ballistic missiles with hydrogen bomb warheads. Now, this is maybe less likely at the moment. On the other hand, we have the T-bills, the T-bonds, the T-notes, right? 1.2 trillion of the Chinese government and maybe another large amount of companies and private holders of U.S. Treasury bills, Treasury notes, and so forth. All of those could be used for various operations. Let your imagination work. The other one, of course, is cyber warfare, and this is actually maybe the most realistic, because it's in the cyber realm that we've had this ongoing conflict. At the beginning of 2010, last year, is more or less when it started with that big clash between Google and China. And, of course, when I say Google, I want to stress again, Google is the National Security Administration. They are in a united front. That was a headline of the Washington Post. It's practically written on the wall. So we're told that, there are these big attacks on Lockheed Martin and other hack attacks going on. And in his hearings this past week, we had CIA boss Leon Panetta now going over to be the defense secretary as Gates leaves. This mediocre bureaucratic hack, Panetta, having represented one of the richest and most green elitist congressional districts in the United States. He was the congressman from Big Sur, where palatial estates owned by rich elitists and environmentalist fanatics look out on the Pacific Ocean, and he believes this is his version of America, not the gritty slums of any of the big cities, but the eco paradise of rich. Right? How do we know? And then they say, well, we'll tell you who did it. Well, the main point about that is don't believe them. So that's going on in the background. But now, let's look at Libya, because Libya, Gaddafi, personally, has had the historical effect of exposing the real nature of what's going on, as Panetta has also said, that it's the resistance by Gaddafi which has stopped and slowed the process of coups, putches, color revolutions, destabilizations, and other subversive attacks by the CIA and its minions on the countries of the Middle East, North Africa, and beyond. But also now, Gaddafi's resistance is exposing the logistical and the political weaknesses of the entire thing. We have Gates telling the Congress in his testimony NATO is running out of bombs. Running out of bombs. And that is confirmed now. We also have French General Stéphane Abrial, A-B-R-I-A-L, speaking at a NATO press conference in Belgrade, Serbia. He says to the effect that we have to think about the logistical side of it. I won't give you the direct quote because it's somewhat diffuse. It's somewhat vague, but you get the idea. He's concerned about this, and we have one of these reports coming into Alex Jones is that the U.S. is running low on depleted uranium munitions, and this is what they use to attack tanks, armored vehicles, and other targets. And this, of course, this is a monstrous weapon which pollutes and destroys the livability of these areas for centuries in many cases. It has a half-life which goes beyond any human calculation. So it's a war crime against humanity, even to use these things, as people have amply pointed out. So on the one side, there's this logistical breakdown, and what you have to ask yourself is, if this were to be compounded, suppose you had a ground attack, sort of a Somalia-style attack on Libya, which would have to be much more robust, because Libya is much more of a functioning state than Somalia was 10, 15 years ago. Suppose you then add in Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Hezbollah. What does that do? Is that the point of logistical breakdown? Isn't that what Gates was actually talking about? In other words, that Gates's speech is actually a cri de coeur by a worried warmonger. And he essentially saying, I see a dismal future for the alliance, but I'm afraid that we're not going to have the means. In other words, he's talking about the European countries that have not done enough to provide military means, and NATO is now running out of bombs over Libya. I think it's clear that if anything starts with Syria, we will reach the point of logistical breakdown rather rapidly. And the only answer to that would then be to go to some form of general mobilization, which would require either this cyber attack scenario as a false flag or something like that June 26th reported threat to the Olympic Stadium in Berlin. In other words, a large false flag event to whip up popular hysteria, and even that might not work. We'll be back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.